My husband's best friend ruined our gender party. She found out the gender of the baby before the party, and after they publicly announced who it was, she attacked my husband with hugs. First I pulled her hair out, and then this happened. The day of the gender reveal party began beautifully. We had planned everything to perfection. Family and friends gathered in our backyard, balloons floating around, and of course, the centerpiece of the event, the cake that would reveal whether we were having a boy or a girl. I was beaming, happy, and so excited to share this moment with everyone. And then she walked in, my husband's best friend, Jessica. Now let me be clear, I've never liked Jessica. She's the kind of woman who flirts with every man in the room, even when she doesn't have to. But my husband insists that they're just friends. She shows up late, of course, strutting into the party with a bag in her hand and that smug look on her face. I didn't pay much attention at first. I was too busy greeting guests and making sure everything was perfect. That's when I noticed her outfit, a baby blue dress with matching blue shoes. I thought, odd choice, but whatever. Then I overheard her talking to the bakery workers who were bringing the cake. "Oh, I already know it's a boy," she said, giggling like it was an inside joke. I just had to dress the part. Boys are such a blessing, don't you think? I froze. She knew? How did she know? The bakery staff wasn't supposed to tell anyone. I confronted the bakers later, and they said that Jessica had casually asked who was going to be born when she picked up the cake for us. She made it sound like it was me. I was already seething. This was our day, and not only had Jessica found out the gender ahead of time, but now she was acting like it was her moment. I tried to push it aside and focus on enjoying the party, but the sight of her in that obnoxious blue dress, parading around like she was part of the family, kept eating at me. When it was finally time for the big reveal, everyone gathered around the cake. My husband held my hand and we cut into the cake together, revealing the blue icing inside. Cheers erupted and people clapped and congratulated us. It was supposed to be one of the happiest moments of my life. But then Jessica ruined it. As soon as she saw the blue icing, she screamed louder than anyone else. "Oh my God, it's a boy!" I knew it. She screamed, and before I could even process what was happening, she lunged at my husband and threw her arms around him. She hugged him so tight I thought she was going to squeeze the life out of him. "You're so lucky, Mike," she gushed. "A son. You deserve it more than anyone. You're going to be the most wonderful father. And your wife is so lucky to have you." I stood there, frozen, watching my husband's best friend cling to him as if she were the one carrying his baby. And then it hit me, this wasn't just about the dress or the cake. Jessica was deliberately making this about her. I couldn't hold it in anymore. My hands were shaking, my heart was racing, and all I could see was her clinging to my husband as if she were his wife, not me. Everyone around us was clapping and cheering, oblivious to the fact that I was seconds away from losing it. When Jessica finally let go of him, she turned to me, still smiling that smug, condescending smile. "You're so lucky, you know," she said, as if she wasn't mocking me. "Mike is such a great guy. Any woman would kill to have him for a husband." That's when I snapped. Without thinking, I grabbed the closest thing to me, the top half of the gender reveal cake, and threw it right at her. It hit her right in the chest, smearing blue frosting all over her precious dress. The entire party fell silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Jessica stood there in shock, looking down at herself, then back up at me. "Are you crazy?" she screamed. "Oh, I'm crazy?" I yelled back. "You're the one making my husband's gender reveal about you. Hugging him like you're carrying his baby? Dressing like you knew the sex before we even did? What the hell is wrong with you?" That's when she dropped the bombshell. "Well, if your husband hadn't told me the dress was beautiful, maybe I wouldn't have worn it. He said it's a shame you could never look this good while pregnant." I swear I saw red. Before I realized what I was doing, I lunged at her and grabbed her hair with both hands. She screamed and tried to pull away, but I wouldn't let go. "You think you can disrespect me like that at my own party?" I yelled. People rushed over to pull us apart, but not before I managed to pull out a good chunk of her hair. Jessica screamed like I just ripped her scalp off. She clutched her head, blue icing still smeared all over her dress, and kept yelling. "She's crazy. Somebody get her off me." Meanwhile, I was still seething, trying to catch my breath as a few guests held me back. My mother-in-law, of course, had to jump in and make things worse. "What's the matter with you?" she yelled at me. "You're acting like a lunatic in front of everyone." "Oh, I'm the lunatic?" I yelled back. "Ask your precious Jessica why she thinks it's okay to ruin someone else's party and insult me in my own home." Jessica, now trying to look like the victim, sniffled dramatically and pointed at me. "I didn't do anything wrong." Her husband said I looked great in that dress, and I was just being supportive. "It's not my fault she's insecure." I whipped around to my husband, who was standing there like a deer in the headlights. "Mike," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "Did you really tell her that?" He stammered. I just said the dress was nice. That's all." "You're blowing this out of proportion." "Blown out of proportion?" I exploded. "She just said you told her I could never look as good as her when I was pregnant. And you're defending her?" He rubbed his temples as if he were the one dealing with the stress. "She didn't mean it. You're taking everything the wrong way." "The wrong way?" That was it. "You know what, Mike?" I said, pointing at him. "Why don't you go be with your perfect little girlfriend, since she's obviously everything I'm not?" I stormed into the house, slamming the door behind me. From the window I could see the guests milling around awkwardly, trying to decide whether to stay or go. Jessica, of course, was in full drama queen mode, crying into someone's shoulder and pretending she hadn't caused the whole mess. I sat on the bed, furious. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I was replaying the whole scene in my head, and every time I thought about Jessica hugging my husband, I got angrier. The door opened, and Mike walked in. He had that annoyed look on his face, the one he gets when he thinks I'm being too much. "What the hell was that?" he asked, shutting the door. I stared at him, speechless. "What was that? Are you seriously asking me that question? Your best friend hijacked our party, insulted me, and you're defending her?" "She didn't insult you," he said, rolling his eyes. "You're overreacting. She was just being nice." "Nice?" I shot back. "She said you told her she looked better than me. While I'm pregnant. And you're defending her?" "She didn't mean it like that," he said, shrugging. "Jessica can be dramatic, sure, but you didn't have to throw the cake at her and pull her hair. You made the whole thing worse." I stood up. "Are you even listening to yourself? You're blaming me for reacting to her disrespect? How about blaming her for ruining our day?" Mike threw his hands up in frustration. "It wasn't that serious. You turned it into a circus. Do you know how embarrassing that was for me? For you?" I shouted. "You're worried about how it made you look? She ruined our party, insulted me in front of everyone, and you're sitting here defending her like she's the victim." "She didn't ruin anything," he said. "You let her get to you. You always let her get to you." That hit a nerve. "Oh, so now it's my fault? Jessica can say whatever she wants, but I'm the problem because I don't just take it. She's my friend," he said, like that explained everything. "She didn't mean any harm. You need to calm down." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Calm down? You know what, Mike? I'm done talking to you tonight. Sleep on the couch. I can't even look at you right now." He opened his mouth like he was about to argue, then shook his head and walked out. I slammed the door behind him, furious, and sat back on the bed. The worst part? I wasn't even mad at Jessica anymore. I was mad at him. The next morning, Mike came into the kitchen acting like everything was fine, but it was far from that. He told me outright that I should apologize to Jessica for what happened at the party. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He wasn't mad at her for ruining our day. He was mad at me for standing up for myself. He kept going on about how I embarrassed him in front of everyone, how throwing the cake and pulling her hair was too much, and made me look bad. Then he said Jessica didn't deserve that, and that I should call her to make things right. The way he dismissed my feelings completely floored me. It wasn't even about the party anymore. It was about the fact that he genuinely didn't see anything wrong with what she had done. He even said something about Jessica being confident and beautiful, like that somehow justified her actions. And then he said it. You misunderstood her. She's just being herself. You overreacted. I felt like I was being gaslit into believing that I was crazy. Like it was my fault for reacting to her blatant disrespect. He didn't even try to understand how I felt. Instead, he doubled down, saying I was insecure and jealous, and that if I wanted to move past this, I needed to apologize to her. At that moment, I realized something. He wasn't defending Jessica because he cared about her as a friend. He was defending her because he enjoyed the attention she gave him. He liked feeling validated by her, even if it came at my expense. I didn't say another word. I grabbed my keys, walked out of the house, and drove around for hours, trying to clear my head. I needed space to figure out what this marriage even meant anymore. After I drove around to clear my head, I came home to find Jessica sitting in my living room. She was there, in my house, sipping coffee like she owned the place. I couldn't believe it. Apparently, Mike had invited her over to smooth things out. The moment I walked in, she gave me this fake smile and said, "I think we need to talk." I didn't even sit down. I just stood there, glaring at her, waiting for her to dig her own grave. And oh, did she? She started going on about how I ruined the party with my unreasonable behavior, how she was only trying to celebrate, and how my insecurities were a problem. Then she hit me with the real dagger. "You know," she said in this condescending tone, "a child doesn't need a mother who behaves like that. He needs someone who can be a role model. Someone stable. Someone confident." She actually said it. She implied that she would be a better mother to my child than me. I froze. I couldn't even process what I just heard. And then, as if that wasn't enough, she added, "Mike deserves to be with someone who uplifts him, not someone who drags him down." At that moment, I felt something snap inside me. This wasn't just a disrespectful friend. This was someone who had crossed every line imaginable. She wasn't just taking over my party, she was trying to take over my life. Hearing those words come out of her mouth, I couldn't hold back anymore. The sheer audacity of Jessica sitting in my living room, drinking coffee, and talking about how she would be a better mother to my child, it was too much. I looked at Mike, hoping he'd say something, anything to shut her down. But he just sat there, silent, like he didn't want to get involved. That's when I realized he wasn't just letting this happen, he was enabling it. Jessica continued, completely unfazed. "You need to get your emotions in check," she said, smiling like she was some sort of saint. "This isn't about you, it's about the baby. And honestly, I think Mike deserves someone who can support him without all this drama." I couldn't believe it. She was still talking about my husband and my baby like she had some right to them. Something inside me snapped. I didn't think, I just acted. I grabbed her coffee cup and threw it on the floor, shattering it. "Get out of my house!" I yelled. Jessica stood up, pretending to be all calm and collected. "See? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're unhinged. No child deserves a mother like this." And then, as if on cue, Mike finally opened his mouth. "You didn't have to break her cup," he said, shaking his head at me. "You're making this worse." I turned to him, completely floored. "I'm making this worse? She just said she'd be a better mother to our child, and you're worried about a damned coffee cup?" Jessica smirked, clearly enjoying the chaos. "Mike, she's proving my point right now." That's when I lost it. I lunged at her, grabbed her by the hair, and yanked as hard as I could. She screamed, trying to pull away, but I wasn't letting go. "You think you can just walk into my house and take over my life?" I yelled. Mike finally got up, pulling us apart. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he shouted at me. I couldn't believe it. He wasn't yelling at Jessica, he was yelling at me. Mike managed to pull me away from Jessica, But by then, the damage was done, literally and emotionally. Jessica's hair was a mess, her smug expression replaced by shock and rage. She grabbed her bag, still trying to maintain her calm and collected demeanor, and said, "You're completely unfit to be a mother. I'm not staying here another second." "Good," I shouted, pointing at the door. "Get out and stay out." But before she could leave, Mike stopped her. "Wait, Jess. Don't go. Let's talk this through," he said, like she was the victim here. I stared at him, completely stunned. "You're asking her to stay? After what she just said? After everything she's done?" Mike turned to me, his face full of frustration. "Because you're overreacting again. She didn't mean any of it the way you're taking it." "Didn't mean it?" I snapped. "She said I'm unfit to be a mother, Mike. She dressed up to match our baby's gender before we even knew, insulted me at my own party, and now she's here acting like she's better than me. And you're defending her? She's my friend," he shouted back. "You don't understand her like I do. She doesn't mean any harm." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I said, my voice trembling with anger. "She's trying to push me out of the picture, and you're letting her." Jessica, who was still standing there with her arms crossed, chimed in. "Mike deserves better than this. He's an amazing guy, and he shouldn't have to deal with someone who's so unstable." I felt like I was going to explode again, but this time, I held back. Instead, I turned to Mike. "You need to make a choice, right now. It's either her or it's me and your child. Because I'm not going to keep doing this." Mike didn't answer right away. He just stood there, looking between me and Jessica like he was trying to figure out who to side with. And in that moment, I realized something. He wasn't going to choose me. The silence in the room was deafening. Mike just stood there, frozen, looking between me and Jessica like he was weighing his options. And that hesitation? That told me everything I needed to know. Jessica smirked, clearly confident that she had him wrapped around her finger. "You see?" she said, breaking the silence. "Mike doesn't want this drama. He needs someone who can support him, not drag him down." I couldn't take it anymore. "You know what, Mike?" I said, my voice shaking. "You don't need to choose. I'll make the decision for you." I turned on my heel, stormed into the bedroom, and slammed the door. My hands were shaking as I grabbed a suitcase and started packing. I wasn't thinking clearly, but I knew I couldn't stay in that house another second with both of them treating me like I was the crazy one. As I packed, I could hear muffled voices in the living room. Jessica was saying something about how it's better this way, and how she always knew I'd cause problems. Mike didn't say much, probably because he knew anything he said would make it worse. A few minutes later, the door opened, and Mike walked in. "What are you doing?" he asked, his tone flat. "What does it look like?" I snapped. "I'm leaving. Since you can't seem to defend your wife, I'll make it easier for you to hang out with your precious Jessica." "You're being ridiculous," he said, running a hand through his hair. "You're really going to let this ruin everything?" "No, Mike," I said, zipping up the suitcase. "You ruined everything. You let her disrespect me over and over, and instead of standing up for me, you defended her. Do you even care how that makes me feel?" He didn't answer. He just stood there, watching as I grabbed my things. "You know," I said, pausing in the doorway, "one day, you're going to realize what you lost. And by then, it'll be too late." I left the house that night, not knowing what was going to happen next. But one thing was clear. I wasn't going to let Jessica or Mike make me feel like I was second place in my own marriage. Just as I grabbed my suitcase and reached the door, Mike finally snapped out of his daze. "Wait," he said, stepping in front of me. "Don't go. Please." I stopped, not because I believed him, but because I was exhausted. "Why? So you can keep ignoring me while Jessica takes over our lives?" His face fell, and for the first time all night, I saw something in his eyes, guilt. "You're right," he said quietly. "I've been selfish. I didn't realize how much this was hurting you." "You think?" I said bitterly, crossing my arms. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. I'll talk to her. If she's causing this much damage to our family, then she has to go. You and the baby are more important than anything else. For a moment, I just stared at him, waiting for the catch. And what exactly are you going to say to her? I'll tell her she crossed the line, he said, looking me straight in the eye. And that I can't have her in my life if it means losing you. I'll tell her not to call, not to write, nothing. I wanted to believe him, but after everything that had happened, I wasn't sure I could. Why now? I asked. Why did it take me packing my bags for you to finally realize this? He didn't have an answer for that. Instead, he just said, I messed up. I see that now. I'm sorry. Just please don't leave. After a long pause, I finally set the suitcase down. Fine, I said. But if you don't follow through on this, Mike, I'm done. No more chances. True to his word, Mike called Jessica that night. I sat on the couch, listening as he told her everything, how her actions had crossed every boundary, how she had disrespected me, and how her presence was tearing us apart. She didn't take it well. I could hear her voice through the phone, high-pitched and angry. You're really going to choose her over me? She said, loud enough for me to hear. Yes, Mike said firmly. She's my wife, Jessica. This has gone too far. Don't call me again. It wasn't the dramatic showdown I'd imagined, but it was enough. For the first time, he was on my side, and Jessica was out of our lives.